There are only a handful of special first times in life. I honestly thought that I'd had all my firsts and, nothing was ever going to be new again.
Lewis Hamilton's turbulent weekend at the Hungarian Grand Prix has stirred debate across the Formula One world, with some questioning whether this is just a temporary slump or a sign of something deeper. The seven-time world champion, now racing for Ferrari in his debut season with the team, appeared visibly frustrated in Budapest after a qualified performance that saw him bow out in Q2. In a post-session interview with Sky F1, Hamilton didn't hold back, labeling his own efforts as useless, and even going so far as to suggest that Ferrari might need to consider a driver change. It was a striking moment, one of the sport's greatest icons sounding unusually defeated. The race didn't offer much of a redemption arc either. Starting further down the grid than usual, Hamilton lost positions almost immediately at the start, slipping into a midfield DRS train where he had little room to recover. He wasn't able to claw back any meaningful ground, and post-race, his mood remained as subdued as it had been the day before. Still, he assured reporters that he'd returned to the cockpit at Zandvoort following the summer break, hinting that he hadn't lost his will to compete, even if his confidence seemed to have taken a hit. This emotional slump was particularly jarring because, up until now, Hamilton had always maintained a stoic belief in his place in sport, even in the face of setbacks. His candid remarks in Hungary, however, marked a rare departure from that self-assurance, leading many to wonder whether the 40-year-old legend is finally beginning to doubt his own future in Formula One. In a season where Hamilton has yet to land a podium and trails teammate Charles Leclerc by nearly 40 points in the standings, the pressure has only intensified. Charles Leclerc, who had a more encouraging weekend and managed to secure a respectable fourth-place finish, was asked during his post-race media duties to comment on Hamilton's downbeat statements. Leclerc didn't hesitate to throw his full support behind his teammate. "We're one team," he said, adding that although he's always aiming to beat Hamilton on track, he wants both of them and Ferrari as a whole to succeed. He dismissed the notion that Hamilton's poor form was part of a wider trend, insisting it was just a one-off rough patch and predicting a more positive second half to the season. Outside the Ferrari garage, Hamilton's comments sparked a broader conversation among pundits and former figures within the sport. Perhaps most controversial were the remarks made by former F1 Supremo Bernie Ecclestone. Never one to shy away from blunt opinions, the 94-year-old told the Daily Mail that Hamilton should have retired a long time ago. According to Ecclestone, continuing to race at this stage would only mean Hamilton is cheating himself. He argued that Hamilton is tired and past his peak, and that sticking around the sport might do more harm than good to his legacy. Ecclestone's criticism didn't stop there. He speculated that despite Hamilton being under contract with Ferrari until 2027, the Italian team might consider paying him off if things don't improve. He even floated a hypothetical scenario where Hamilton could step aside if a suitable replacement were found, suggesting Ferrari would benefit from a clean slate while Hamilton could walk away with his full contract honored. "They signed him to do a job," Ecclestone remarked, "but it's not working. He should stop now." Of course, if Hamilton were to step aside, the next logical question is, who would take a seat at Ferrari? The Scuderia already has a young British talent on their books, Oliver Bearman, currently racing for Haas. While Bearman has demonstrated potential and moments of brilliance during his rookie campaign, he's also had his share of rookie errors, including a highly publicized crash in the pit lane at Silverstone under red flag conditions. Meanwhile, any possibility of Carlos Sainz returning to the team appears off the table, as he has already secured a multi-year deal elsewhere, despite persistent rumors of an escape clause, which were recently denied by Williams boss James Vowles. Ecclestone, for his part, already has suggestions for Hamilton's possible successor. He pointed to two young prospects, Isaac Hadjar and Gabriel Bortolito. Hailing from the Red Bull-affiliated Racing Bulls team, Hadjar has impressed many in his debut F1 season, and Ecclestone believes he would be a great fit for Ferrari's long-term goals. He also expressed high regard for Brazilian driver Bortolito, praising both their talent and temperament, suggesting they could be more compatible with the direction Ferrari is heading. Amid the swirl of criticism and speculation, one voice stood firmly in Hamilton's corner, Toto Wolff, the Mercedes team principal, who oversaw the most dominant period of Hamilton's career, quickly came to his former driver's defense. Wolff argued that Hamilton's emotional comments in Hungary were simply an expression of raw disappointment, something the Brit has never shied away from throughout his career. He described Hamilton as someone who wears his heart on his sleeve, especially when he feels he has underperformed or failed to meet expectations. According to Wolff, such transparency isn't new for Hamilton and shouldn't be mistaken for weakness or doubt. Wolff went further, reinforcing the idea that Hamilton remains one of the sport's most gifted drivers and certainly hasn't lost his edge. He believes that Hamilton's struggles this season stem more from the machinery beneath him than from any personal decline. Ferrari's current car, like Mercedes' ground effect cars in the past few years, hasn't suited Hamilton's unique driving style, and that mismatch has hindered his ability to perform at his usual level. However, Wolff suggested that the upcoming 2026 regulation changes could swing things back in Hamilton's favor. With new power units and a completely different aerodynamic formula on the horizon, there's an opportunity for Hamilton to reestablish himself at the top of Ferrari can provide a competitive package. As for talk of retirement, Wolff dismissed it outright. He insisted that Hamilton has unfinished business in Formula One, pointing to the elusive 8th world title that continues to drive him. According to Wolff, Hamilton's determination hasn't faded, and given the right equipment, he could very well contend for championships again. He noted that Hamilton's struggles since the introduction of ground effect cars in 2022 may simply be down to a lack of synergy between the car and his driving style, not a diminishing of his natural ability. If he has a car that's not giving him the feedback that he wants, Wolff said, then not. But you asked me whether he still has it? He definitely has it. Wolff's message was clear. Don't count Lewis Hamilton out. He remains one of the sharpest minds on the grid, and with new technical regulations set to upend the current order, there's every chance Hamilton could thrive in the new era. The Austrian emphasized that intelligent energy management and adaptation would be critical in 2026, and Hamilton's experience and Racekraft will be invaluable in that context. As such, Wolff hopes Hamilton stays in the sport for many more years, believing the Brit still has plenty left to give, not just Ferrari, but of Formula One as a whole. Still, the Hungarian Grand Prix was a painful reminder of how much Hamilton's move to Ferrari has yet to bear fruit. His only noteworthy performance came in the Chinese sprint, and podiums have been out of reach all year. His 2025 campaign has lacked the momentum or magic fans hoped for when the blockbuster move was announced. And with teammate Leclerc consistently outperforming him, the pressure is mounting. The optics aren't great. A legendary driver struggling to adapt, a high-profile team not delivering, and the public beginning to question whether this partnership was ever destined to succeed. In the wake of these events, the F1 community is now split into two camps. Those who believe Hamilton is simply experiencing the growing pains of adapting to a new team in a tricky car, and those who suspect that age and time have finally started to take their toll. But as Wolff and Leclerc have pointed out, writing Hamilton off would be a mistake. This isn't the first time the Brit has found himself under fire or written off prematurely. His career is a testament to resilience, comebacks, and shattering expectations. For now, Hamilton remains resolute. Despite the frustration in Hungary, he's set to return at Zandvoort with hopes of resetting the narrative in the second half of the season. Whether he can turn things around and prove the doubters wrong remains to be seen. But what's clear is this. Lewis Hamilton's story in Formula One is far from over. The road may be rocky and the critics may be loud, but the heart of a champion still beats fiercely within him.